What's up, guys? So today's video, we're dealing with the clutch. This video is about 2 years in the making, as I've had the Rekluse prototype clutch in this for about 2 years. So they finally fully developed the clutch and found out what friction material they wanted to use. With the prototype, shifting in a neutral was a little difficult. It wasn't fully releasing, and then your grab point was more like a racing clutch, where it was nothing, and it would fully grab. We did do some experimentation with the shutter rings, in and out. I think I had this clutch in and out of this 3 times now, but all in the name of experimenting, because somebody's got to do it. So anyway, the clutch is now live on the website. It can be bought, I think it's $600. I'll put the link in the description. But what you get when you get this torque drive, so this is not an auto clutch, this is a standard clutch replacement, but what you get, as you can see, you have double the friction area. So this has a ton of friction plates, 2 nice billet plates, versus your OEM, where you see the stack up, you don't have that much surface area. So that's the main benefit with this particular style clutch, unlike like Barnett and everything, which is basically just a replacement OEM clutch with some different friction materials. But this one, you get all of these discs. I have also had the prototype in my FTR, that bike, for almost 6 years now. That one I've never had to take back out, so that was kind of put it in, everything worked flawless, it was perfect, and it's been in there ever since. So with this kit, it gives you pretty much idiot-proof instructions. Those are all the tools that you need, and then it just goes step by step exactly what you need to do, all your torque specs. What you need to get from Indian is a primary cover gasket. You don't have to get a new gasket. I've reused, so I bought a new one, but I've been reusing the stock one and it's not leaking, so I think I'll just keep this as a backup. And then you need the new stake nut. You can reuse these, but it's not as viable to do it. They're cheap, I think it's like 20 bucks. And then obviously an oil change kit. And then what I'm going to do is, we got a nice clean little barrel here, and then some older oil that I'm going to use to soak these plates in for at least 5 minutes per the instructions. However, I've already filmed a video. I did this 2 years ago, but since the clutch wasn't perfect in this prototype, I never released it. So what I'm going to do is, we're going to shoot over this 2 years ago while I drain my oil and pull the primary and everything back off. So enjoy this. And get the clutch all ready, and obviously you must have at least 1 or 2 beers while doing this. One little tool that I have in my toolbox that I absolutely love is this bit driver kit. You can buy these at Lowe's or Walmart, pretty much anywhere. This one's actually from Matco. It's a little bit smaller and it has finer teeth ratio. But by using this with the 6mm bolt, you don't have to take off this kickstand bracket right here like you do normally when you're using a bit driver set. So we'll get the oil drained, and then we'll remove the shift linkage. This is also a little hack. This is a shift linkage off of a GXXR 1000. What it does is it moves your shift point forward or up a little bit, closer to your center here, which increases your shift throw. It makes neutral a little bit harder to find, but the fact that you have a shorter shift throw in your pedal makes it so much better. So I'll pull this off, and then obviously we'll mark where this clutch cable is, and we'll remove the clutch cable here and here, and we'll pull our floorboard off, and then we'll get to moving this off. That's all done. Take the 2 Allen bolts out of the front. You need a 8mm key, and then a 10mm wrench to pull the bolt out of this, and then the left side footrest assembly comes off, and then you need a 12mm wrench, and you just completely remove this bolt, this nut here, and then the whole clutch cable slides through. So now what we're going to do is we're going to loosen all these 5mm Allens, and primary cover will pop off. Cover's off, and what we're going to do next is we're going to take a 10mm socket and take out these 3 bolts, and this assembly will come out with the springs. This particular clutch, it wants you to reuse the stock springs. On the FTR, it gave like a 10% lighter spring, and it did improve clutch feel, so I'm going to be interested to see how clutch feel feels with this clutch and the stock springs. Okay, so here's the nut Indian doesn't want you to reuse. As you can see, they stake the sides of it on both sides, and that puts it in those grooves right there. What I did was I took a little flathead and kind of hammered it in and tried to get it out as much as possible so it wouldn't hang up. The best thing to do with this is to use a 32mm big socket and an impact gun. Trying to use it with a breaker bar, you're gonna be rolling the bike everywhere unless you have somebody that can sit here and hold the brake on you. But that's the easiest way. Also, as you can see, it has a O-ring around here. You don't have to replace this gasket if you don't want to. I know lots of people, when they pull this off to get it powder coated, they don't replace it. Also, what you want to do is place index marks. So I did two. I did one here and one here in case you get wiped off. But what's going to happen is on most bikes, this whole thing will be able to pull out. But since we have all these holes around there, and the gear is back behind this cover, so what we're going to do is we're going to actually pull the inner hub out. So when we pull the inner hub out, as you can see, it's super hot. I'm going to throw my gloves on. You can see that. Also, what you can see is how thick these plates are versus how thin the Rekluse plates are. The Rekluse plates are sitting in the oil at the moment. Also, one of the first steps in the instruction manual for this is put the bike in 6 gears. What that does is it changes the ratio a little bit and allows you to spin this hub as you push it into there. Also, note the orientation of these washers. All right, that's out. That just all slid out. It's super hot, so I'm gonna let it cool down on the bench before I play with it anymore. In the meantime, what I'm gonna do is they have these little collars here, and they just slide right in. Of course. There we go. So I'm gonna repeat all the way around with all these collars. All right, welcome back to 2025. So clutch is all back apart. I think I'm just gonna leave these little retainers in here. There's no reason in replacing them because obviously they didn't change. But going over here, I got these plates sitting in oil. What I'm gonna do is, as I start putting this together, I'll just rub some oil on all these metal discs. So here is the prototype plate. See, it's part of your slipper clutch design. And then, yeah, we just have all these different stacks. We're just gonna remove them all. They do look a little bit different. Oh yeah, you can see the difference there. There we have it. So roll clutch pack is off, looking good. Obviously I'll email them and see what they want me to do with this. They might want me to send it back so they can examine it and see how it wore. But it is kind of neat to see the difference in the friction material. So you can see this is kind of just a full ring versus these old ones they were doing. It was like that. Well, look forward to see how this reacts to the new friction. Alright, so I got everything where I want it. I'm not going to really deal with this right now. There are 2 judder springs and seats. If you look at the manual, it tells you how to do the judder spring and this orientation. That can kind of mess things up. So basically you're just going to take the flat one, pop her down there, and then this one you're going to have it where the concave goes towards the bottom of the basket. And then from there, it's just grab a friction plate, put it on, one of these, put a little oil on it, and we start stacking. Alright, so with this stack up and this stack up, obviously we have the friction, plate, friction, another plate, and then our last billet piece. Obviously these are a different size than this set, and then this is just gonna go on in here like so. Get everything lined up. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip it around. Alright, with the flip back around, we're gonna take our center section with our 3 springs, put that in there. This is only temporary, this is gonna come back off. So what you want to do is you want to snug these down just a little bit. So the purpose of that is, snug them down a little bit more. So the purpose of that is obviously to keep this unit attached to this. And we want to straighten these out as much as we can. So we have our full assembly here. So what we're going to do is we're going to slide this right into the bike. Obviously, if you don't have these in there, what can happen is these get misaligned, and you're going to sit there for hours with picks trying to align everything. So a keen eye would have seen where I screwed up. I did not have all these plates aligned properly. As you can see, these have a groove in them. These don't. So I just took it back apart and just threw it back together. So now what we're going to do is, basically tells you in the manual, you grab like this, and we're just gonna slide her on in. See if I can get this in one take. Close. Not gonna happen. So we're gonna pull it back up. Oh, another thing, make sure that this washer here is installed, because this can stick to the back of this and then fall off on your bench and you forget that it's in there. So let's try this one more time. And come on, almost. I want to put the camera down. We're so close. This guy's got to come over just a hair. Too much. Like I said, you can get it so close. There we go. So what helps is, forgot this little detail, the instructions tell you to put it in 6th gear before you even start. So what I was doing basically there was, as I was wiggling it in, I'm moving the tire back and forth to get that shaft in there and kind of just move all these plates around. So we're going to take this back off, install our flat washer, our cone washer, goes like that, dot goes on the outside, and then our new ring. Alright, so when you're not on, it wants you to torque it to 125 foot-pounds. The problem is, even with the bike on the ground, as we're torquing, it's just spinning the back tire. So what you're going to want to do is go on the other side of the bike, hold your rear brake, Double check your torque wrench. And there you go. And then where it wants you to stake is, so you'll see 3 little indentations. There's a flat rectangular one, and then these 2 little here. This is where you're going to stake it. That's all you got to do. And then we're good to go. Come back in here. Put our 3 springs on. And then we're going to evenly torque these down per the instruction manual. Alright, with those all torqued, everything looks good. Everything's fine. Wipe off with the excess oil. I think I'm just going to run with this gasket one more time and just for shits and giggles see how long it'll actually stay. Now for this piece over here. So this arm, obviously, can move and change positions. What can happen is if you have this flipped over on this other side, this can actually come out and push this thing out. So it's a real pain to get this space properly to where it comes in here just right. So when you are putting this back on, just make sure that that's exactly where it needs to be, and this is basically at a 90-degree parallel. So if all things go right, this should just pop right back on. Come down here and verify that 90 degrees. You can feel it actually hitting on the clutch. We'll come back through here and put all our nice black bolts in. If you didn't know, you can buy a black bolt kit from Kyle over at Forever Red, and it just makes it look a little bit more rad. Alright, with that on, everything is just a reversal of when we took everything back apart. These bar nut clutch cables are there to get back in there. Nice. Don't forget your nut. And we're done. Obviously, everything is just a reversal of coming back off. Got our shift arm back on. That's another cool thing from Forever Red. Is this nice milled down shift rod. Obviously, it does look a little better than that all thread flimsy one they have. But with this one, you actually get a more direct feel when you're downshifting and upshifting. A more direct connection through your shifter. Something else I did while we had it apart, I had this cable running over here. Never thought to put it through this center hole right here. So that cleaned this whole area up a little bit better, and also when it's turning, it's not catching my fork leg right there. So also adjusted my clutch free play. So I have it a little bit tight right now, so I'm going to ride it for a little bit and see if it moves at all after the initial break-in. But clutch pull feels just dandy. One nice thing about this clutch is there's so many friction plates, even when it gets hot, it really doesn't change your free play in your clutch. I know a lot of guys, they like to set it tight because then it loosens up, or they set it loose because then it tightens up when you're riding hard. But with these, I found that, like that one, I set it, 10,000 miles ago. I haven't really touched it. Where on her bike, you kind of have to adjust it more often than not when you're out riding. So let's get on the road and see how she feels. All right, So initial impressions, 10 times better than it was before. So I'm hopefully get this in the camera. So friction zone starts about right there, and I'm not giving any gas. So it's nice and smooth, it's not jerky, where before it would kind of like lunge you and it wouldn't just slowly let you out. So once again, no gas. That is smooth. And let's see how easy it is to find neutral. We're in neutral. So before, I would have to actually come down here and reach down and pull that up to get a neutral. So yeah, massive improvement. Give her a little ripper here. So that's a win. 2 years of testing in the real world. I know my bike, and I think 3 or 4 others, had the prototype in it. Obviously we all had the similar complaint about the friction zone and not being able to get in neutral. Both of those issues are completely eliminated, and this thing is perfect. It's about as perfect as it was in my FTR. That's all for this thing. For next video, guys, it's going to be on this stupid thing. If you notice, there's 2 batteries, because we bought a second one. Coincidentally, the first time we went to go ride that one, my battery took a shit and bricked itself. So we're going back and forth with warranty claims to try and get this battery replaced. Because a new battery for these things is about $1,000, and it comes with a 2-year warranty. So dealing with that. But more to come on that. Thanks for watching, guys.